Hey everybody, Dr. Kramer, Hope Upper Cervical Spine Center. The preservation of health is easier than the treatment of disease. I think that many of us as a community would completely agree with this statement that B.J. Palmer made sometime in the 1930s, 1940s. And the idea is that we as a culture have more faith in a spoonful of medicine than we do in the God-created body that we own to cure the ailments that we are facing. And so today, what I want to propose to you is this idea that maybe will fit your paradigm, that will maybe fit your worldview, because so many are afraid to take action. They're afraid to take a stance. They're afraid to make a change, even if they may believe it, right? And so what I see happening right now in the world is this paradigm shift that we are facing, in which a majority of people want to be holistic. They want to be organic. They love to say that, hey doc, I don't like taking medication. And they also love to say that I am doing everything I can to create an environment of health. But I work at a desk for 40 hours a day. My posture sucks. Hey, my doctor told me I needed to take this medication, so I listened to my doctor. They said I need this surgery, right? Whenever the tires hit the pavement and you are forced to choose between trusting in your body or trusting in a spoonful of medicine, you are immediately running to the medicine, right? And that's a problem. That's something that we all face. It's something that you have to chew with, because the human system is not a single entity. You cannot simply manipulate one string at a time, right? It's not going in and changing the circuit breaker in the garage when the power goes out, right? You can't come in and just flip switches and all of a sudden determine that we have solved the problem for the disease that you are facing. In fact, I would dare to say that more likely than not, the reason that we are lacking in expression of health isn't because a lack of trying, right? It's not because, we're not eating organic, or we're not doing this, or we're not doing all these things. The reason is because we haven't done them long enough, and we haven't interfered with the system. We haven't let the system at rest long enough, right? So when we come at it and we bring in these synthetic, potions, and we try to manipulate our biological system, our body is going to respond in a certain way. And so this is where the paradigm of upper cervical comes in contrast, and actually favors those of you who are really interested in a natural holistic solution, because we add nothing and we take away nothing from the human body. We don't intervene with an injection, we don't intervene with a surgery, nor do we intervene with a pill, a potion, or a lotion. While some of you can, see a doctor that is a chiropractor that has a interest in functional pathology or functional medicine, that may make a recommendation regarding a supplementation nutritional fitness protocol, for the vast majority of you, the simplicity of chiropractic should just make sense. We should understand that the human body is integrated as a unit, right? And nobody's better at this than women, because you all have the most incredible emotional sense ever, right? You can tell if a cough is actually a cough because of something that's ill, or if a cough is simply I choked on something, or if I'm just got a little bit of a hack from being exhausted, right? You have this intuition about you that's a sense, that's like the 7th or 8th sense at this point, that allows you to be intuitive about the system and how it is working. Men, on the other hand, we fall apart. We just wait for the system to break down. Red alert, right? That's what we do. However, in the paradigm of chiropractic, what we do is we ensure that your body has the opportunity for optimal, prolonged expression of health. And this is done by managing the integration of the neurological system, which manages the entire human body, right? Many of us will say, well, hey doc, I got a bad liver. Hey doc, I have bad kidneys. Hey doc, I have a problem with migraines or headaches, or a symptom that we are trying to navigate. And we are going to hope for a specific treatment for that symptom, right? I got a little muscle pain, I'm gonna take some Tylenol. Hey, I got a little rib out, I'm gonna get a thoracic adjustment, right? Many of those are one and the same coin. However, when you look at the paradigm of upper cervical care, It is completely different. It's actually more favorable to the holistic person, the one who is looking to identify with the idea that I'm going to walk in the grass in the morning barefoot because grounding is good for me. It's natural, it's normal. Upper cervical makes sense with people who say, hey, listen, I'm going to follow a meat-forward diet because I understand the need for a biodiverse system that needs, complete nutrition of essential amino acids and essential fatty acids in order to generate an optimal expression of health. Upper cervical aligns with those of you who are biohacking your health by going into saunas, by going into cold plunges, by figuring out ways to prolong the expression of health in your life and longevity. These are all things that are outside in that you are doing. So why wouldn't you look at something that is inside out? Meaning something that looks at the optimal expression of neurological integrity, the optimal expression of health, the optimal coordination of a system to allow for the entire body to unify as one so that you may express health. That's what upper cervical is about. Upper cervical looks at that management of that system. And then if it's necessary, we provide an intervention to restore normal. And when you have normal, you have optimal. And when you have optimal, you are able to go about your life not living in fear of a perpetual disease that's going to show itself, because you have already done all the other things that will favor optimal expression of health, right? So in this, it is easier to preserve health. It is easier to have your nervous system evaluated when you are healthy than it is when you are sick, right? There is way more work in taking care of a sick person than there is in preserving a healthy person. For those of you who are health forward conscious, for those of you who are biohackers, for those of you who are already on the paradigm of following the idea that you are doing everything you can to preserve your health, upper cervical just makes sense because it is one more piece of the puzzle that allows for optimal expression. Now, for those of you who are ill, those of you who are stuck in the medical paradigm, those of you who are sick and tired of having not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 prescriptions at a time and are looking for your way out of this paradigm, I have to encourage you to look at the idea of what biohacking entails, to slowly evaluate your life and say, self, am I really doing everything I can in order to transform my health? Tap into that, evaluation of what does my mental space look like? What does my physical space look like? How is my nutrition? How is my finances? How are my relationships? And then most importantly, how is my time with God? Because all of those will feed in to generating the expression of health you have. More likely than not, one of those pillars will be falling apart, and one of those pillars will collapse upon you, causing everything else to fall apart, like a house of cards, right? In that, paradigm, if you find that you are, solid in several of those areas, but you are still lacking the expression of health, it probably makes sense to have your upper cervical spine evaluated, because the upper cervical spine controls and coordinates the expression of health through the nervous system and the human body. What that means for you is that many of you are looking for the root cause and you haven't found it. This is a root cause analysis. We look at the breakdown of the human nervous system. We know that that is caused by a problem with your cervical spine, and that through a series of chiropractic adjustments to C1 or C2, you will be able to restore a normal, healthy expression of life instead of a sick disease paradigm that is mitigated to drugs and surgery for the remainder of your life here on earth. For those of you who want a total health transformation, the process starts with an upper cervical consultation. We're happy to provide them if you guys are local to the DFW area. If not, you're going to go to uppercervicalcare.com, type in your zip code, and find a local upper cervical doctor who will help you begin the process of radically transforming your health. Remember, we started this whole entire episode out with the idea that it is easier to, the preservation of health is easier than the fixing of disease, right? So let's preserve our health. Let's make our health optimal. And let's make sure that our upper cervical spine checks out so that we can continue down this road of life that we have. That's my advice today. Preserve your health. No longer have faith in a spoonful of medicine. Peace.